This video is for me to be able to share some of my thoughts and ideas with you when it comes to home defense. I have read a lot of articles and watched a lot of YouTube videos on the matter, and I agree with most of what's being said and shown. Here are some takes of how I see it, how I choose to deal with it. Perhaps you might find this some sort of use. I started out by thinking about the environment that I'm in, the home that I'm in. As is in most cases, perhaps even yours. My walls are basically sheetrock walls, 2x4 structure that are sheathed by panels of sheetrock, maybe a ½ inch, 5/8 of an inch thick, with about a 3.5 inch gap, which is the width of the stud. And most interior walls, of course, not going to have any insulation anyway. But even if they did, in that 3.5 inch gap between the sheets, you'd find some fiberglass, very easily torn by hand. Would offer basically, in combination with the 2 sheets of sheetrock, this whole combination would offer very little resistance to a bullet that's trying to go through it. And why I bring this up is because in a home defense situation, average scenario, we're probably going to be in a state of surprised mindset. We were aroused, we were awakened in the middle of the night, or we were surprised by this person invading our privacy of our home and threatening us, and we have resorted to picking up a weapon to defend ourselves, which is essentially the legal definition of how we would be able to get away justifiably use of deadly force in order to defend ourselves. It is our right. We have that right to defend ourselves. And let's say, for example, we pick up a revolver or a pistol, say a .38 or something, 9mm 40 caliber, an AR-15, an assault rifle, whatever you have at your disposal. Let me start off by saying that whatever my choice of weapon is, it by no means is it intended to say that your choice isn't as good, because any gun is better than no gun when it comes to defending yourself. Whatever you have, please use that to defend yourself. It is your right. You should use it. However, I would like to think that maybe part of this discussion here is us having the luxury, or perhaps being able to afford the choice of maybe using something else. When we take that handgun and we fire it at that person at the end of the hallway or in our kitchen or across our living room, in the state of mind that we would be in, stressed through the roof, scared, yelling and screaming, and in the chaos at hand, there's a very good chance we're going to miss. We're going to fire, and he's not going to stand there and behave like our paper target does for us at the range with our shooting glasses and our earmuffs perfectly holding still while we punch holes in that paper. He's going to be trying to jump around and hide behind stuff in order not to get shot. So there's a very good chance we're going to miss. And when we do, in my opinion, we have to wonder what's on the other side of this wall. What is it that this bullet is going to go through that wall and strike? Is it my child's bedroom? Is it my dining room? Is it my loved one's bedroom? Is it, heaven forbid, an exterior wall? Does this mean that this bullet is about to exit my home and maybe go across the yard or across the street into the neighbor's house, into his child's bedroom or his bedroom or living room or dining room? These walls that, as I've described and as our homes have, offer very little resistance to in any way to try and stop the bullet. There are certain specialty ammunitions out there. Buffalo, Bulldog by Federal is one. In fact, I have it loaded in my .45 myself. When it hits the wall, it does flatten and slow down a little bit, but it's still going to go right through that wall. And so my thinking is, wherever this bullet is going, through this wall, whatever it hits, wherever it goes across the street into my neighbor's house, into his car, whatever, my wallet, my responsibility is going with it. Regardless of how it happened, why that bullet where it did, I picked up that gun and fired it. Legally, I am responsible. In a court of law, I will be held accountable for that. Even if the bad guy picked up a DVD and through some slick Rambo move deflected the bullet away from himself or something. Regardless of what the situation was, I was the one that fired and pulled that trigger. So my take of this issue is I want to improve the odds in my favor, both in not missing and also in not having my shot go through walls and hit things that I don't intend. And for that reason, I use a shotgun. I have two shotguns, short barreled, fairly short barreled, tactical type of a shotgun, if you will, not a long hunting gun, only because I want it to be short and maneuverable, easily managed. Long one would just do just as well. Most of these shorter tactical shotguns have what's known as an improved cylinder, basically no choke. So the shot basically comes out and it doesn't get tapered down into a full choke or into a tighter pattern. And it will spread at a rate of approximately, loosely speaking, 1 inch per yard. So at a distance of say 10 or 15 yards, I'm talking about a 10 or 15 inch pattern, shot pattern of how wide it's opened. About the size of a man's chest. So I still have to aim. I still have to be proficient with what I'm aiming at in order to be able to hit it. I can't just wildly swing it that way and pull the trigger. I'm still going to miss. But by the concept of a shotgun, since it's not just one bullet, it improves the odds in my favor greatly. Say, for example, I've got my shotgun loaded with double-aught buck, which is a very popular choice. Very effective also. We're talking about 9 pellets the size of a .32 caliber automatic pistol and traveling at say 1100, 1200 feet a second. This is better ballistic than out of the .32 caliber pistol or even at say 380. So with the pull of one trigger, I'm launching 9 380s or 32 bullets at the target. So even if I miss by 2 or 3, there's still a good chance 5 or 6 or 7 of them are going to hit and cause some damage to the area that I was aiming at. Hopefully that would be the chest or the upper neck area. And that's still going to be a much better odd in my favor of rather than one bullet and missing it by a foot and going through the wall. I would still, if I missed it by several inches or a foot, I would still be likely to hit it with a few pellets. So I'm still causing some damage. Of course, the double-aught buck is still fairly destructive. Most people don't realize it, that if you shoot a double-aught buck at say 10 yards, you're going to cause a 10-inch pattern of 9 holes that is still going to go through a couple of walls, but far less likely to go across the street or to be very destructive once it goes through the wall or the second wall for that fact. So again, it improves the odds in my favor of the over-penetration, the overkill of this bullet just wildly going through walls and hurting things. I have my shotguns loaded with a number 4 buckshot. I don't think the double-aught buck is necessarily the way I want to go. The reason for that being that the number 4 buckshot is going to give me a higher number of pellets. Rather than just 9 pellets, it's going to give me about 24 to say 28 pellets, a great number more pellets, slightly smaller, about the size of a 25 caliber, approximately 25 caliber bullet. Still traveling of about 1,000, 1,100 foot a second. So by having more shots, it again improves the odds much better. Now we're talking about a greater number of hits, and this is what I would recommend, in fact, because of the fact that it doesn't over-penetrate as much. Ballistic testings have shown where it penetrates actually better because there's more pellets causing damage, more destruction, instead of just 9 paths of destruction or bullets traveling. There's a greater number of pellets hitting and destroying tissue, causing bleeding and trauma. And also by each pellet causing damage, it also helps the other pellet to cause more damage. So it's a sort of a chain reaction. The overall process of the many hits is more penetrating and more damaging. And in the case of, say, for example, hitting the wall, they will not over-penetrate as much because they are smaller pellets. They are not as heavy and not as develop as much kinetic energy consequently. So by the time it clears one wall and perhaps approaches the second wall, it's pretty much coming to a stop. And this is basically, in my opinion, the ideal round. At the first impact, it's extremely devastating, very powerful, and by all means, it is by design, a shotgun is far more effective than any handgun you can think of. And I'm a big fan of the large caliber pistols, the 10 millimeters and the 45s, and the 40s and the 44 Magnums. This shotgun is by far more devastating. Much more power, much better odds of hitting the target, and just a superior weapon in my opinion. And so this is my recommendation. This is what I use, and this is whenever asked by friends and people that know me and know of my background, that I know about guns and around guns a lot for many years. I've carried a gun for better part of 30 years in some jobs where I've needed a gun for protection, and I've always recommended to everybody, for home use, you should use a shotgun. In my home, when I get home from being out and about, the 10 millimeter or the 45 caliber pistol that I have on my hip will stay on me till I go to bed, at which one will come off and go into my nightstand, and that's where it stays till if I ever need to in the middle of the night or something, I'm going to reach for my shotguns. I have two of them. I have one upstairs and one downstairs, 12 gauge, 18, 20-inch barrels. And these will prove very effective, I'm hoping, if I ever need to. And that's basically my thoughts. If you like what you heard here, and if you find any of it of any use, please feel free to hit the like button. Feel free to subscribe. I will have more videos made. This is my first video that I'm putting on YouTube. I was instructed I had to do so in order to be able to put my thoughts on there. So thanks again for watching, and I hope you find this of some use, and it's been nice to bringing this information to you. And again, I'll look forward to talking to you all again. Have a good evening. Thank you.